Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. I got a little to say. I got a little bit to say about silver. It's going to be a big week, a big month. We got less than 100 days left until this shit's over, in my opinion. The shit meaning the entire system goes wonky. I don't know if it'll all go to zero. It could, um, because all these exchanges are fake. Everything about them is fake. It's just like our government. Everything about it is fake. So I know it's hard to sit there and watch silver be price suppressed for your entire lifetime, but at the end of the day, why did you get into silver as an investment? A lot of us got in not only because we think, oh, it's undervalued, but we want to assist in the takedown of this criminal banking cabal that has run our lives for so long. And you can do your part by getting physical silver. You shouldn't have mining shares. You shouldn't have any ETFs. All those are derivatives. The mining share problem should be obvious to everybody. What they have in the ground is way too valuable. When the monetary system collapses and nobody has any money, the money created by the Fed and by the banksters, every country will look around and say, well, what can we use? What do we have? Especially Mexico, and they're going to say, oh my God, we have the most valuable commodity on the planet in history, and we've been giving it away for cheap. So they will nationalize all their silver and give it to the people of Mexico. It's their right to have it, not the government's right. They'll be gone. Same with the U.S., same with all over the world. A lot of nationalization coming from mines. Not so much actual physical metal in the hands of investors. ETFs, yes, it's easy to confiscate that. But the hands of investors, there's not that much out there. And, oh, by the way, it's difficult for them to confiscate without looking like they're stealing. But anyway, yeah, I think if a lot of this happens in the next, say, 90 days, wow, the world would be very different. So get your physical silver, get it in your own possession. I do want to talk about the third-party reporting system for silver today. Our old friend Jeff Christian came out, and everybody sent me this video, came out with a YouTube post called Gold Silver Market Update, Record Prices and the Truth About Silver. And everybody's like, rip apart, rip apart. And truthfully, I agree with him on a lot of this stuff, but he doesn't recognize the significance of what he actually says. For example, here's a chart. I mean, this is kind of dated. 60 billion ounces of silver have been mined. I think it's more like 70 now. I mean, this chart is graphed since 2000, so could be 70 billion, but that doesn't mean it's available. And that's what Jeff just can't get his head around. It's like, no, there's not 60 million billion ounces available. Most of it's gone. And he kind of says it. So he gives us a breakdown of where, and this is an old graph from, well, no, it's 2022. So that's what he's saying in 2022. Okay, all right. I think it's more like 70 billion. The 60 billion number has been quoted many, many times over the past 20 years. So, and we're pulling out, 8 to 850, 800 million ounces a year. You go 10 years, that's another 8 billion ounces. So, or 850, yeah, almost 8 billion ounces. So, yeah, I think we're closer to 70, but it doesn't matter. It's not available. So, here's what Jeff says of that 60 billion ounces that's been mined in history. Industrial use and undetermined losses are 29 billion. Do I agree with that number? I think it's odd. Higher than that, but let's just say Jeff's right on this. Jewelry and decorative and religious objects is 26 billion, and Jeff holds up a silver Buddha, and just to prove his point that I could melt this down at any time. The reality of melting stuff down after it's been processed, other than bars, but even coins, the reality of selling silver eagles for melt is absurd. The reality of selling almost any national minted coin is absurd. And it's not going to happen. It never has happened and never will happen. Why? Because it has more value than the melt value of silver. It's been processed in a certain way. Now, generic rounds, maybe at some point, they'll start melting those down. And what I'm saying melted down is we're going to need all this stuff in industrial silver. We need massive amounts. And Jeff says, oh, there's so much silver out there. At any time, at any price, the silver can come back to the industrial side. And that is absolutely not true. But even if it was true, there's not enough silver. Look at his numbers for silver bullion and coins. Silver bullion, he says there's 3.1 billion ounces of silver bullion out there. I assume he means mainly the COMEX bars, the ETF bars, all the 1,000-ounce silver bars and things like that. Probably okay. I'll grant that to him. I don't believe he's right, but I'll grant that to him. That's 3 billion ounces. Is that a lot? At $30, that's only $90 billion worth of silver. That is a tiny amount of silver for the whole world to have access to. 90 billion. There's many billionaires that could buy these with leverage and banking and all that. Coins, supposedly 2.3 billion. And do those get melted down? No, not at $30. Probably not at $100. That's when people start to covet it. If silver was freely traded, which is really interesting. So he's got a subtotal of 3.1 billion that could be available to the industrial side. And I think a lot of those are being just soaked up right now. That 3 billion ounces will all go into solar if things keep going the way they are. Countries around the world have announced their plans to save the world and to stop global warming or climate change is to build silver, industrial-sized silver solar power manufacturing plants, and they're doing it massively in China. Last year they did, and I'm going to get to this in a second. At least 400 million ounces. At least 400 million ounces. This year should be 600 million ounces because they're moving to TopCon and they are increasing the amount installed. Metals Focus and the Silver Institute are completely ridiculous. I'm going to get to that in a second. So Jeffrey, I don't disagree. I'm saying what Jeff doesn't understand is what he's really saying. He's saying there's only 3.1 billion, which is $90 billion worth of silver at the current prices. A little less than that. $90 billion of anything in our financialized world is a tiny, 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 tiny amount. I heard Warren Buffett is selling a lot of his stocks now. He knows what silver is. Is he going to put it all in silver? He could. He could buy up all the silver ounces if he wants to. He's done it before. He only bought 130 million ounces. Could he buy billions? Yes, he could. In today's day and age, absolutely. So the insanity of Jeff saying, well, there's so much silver to be bought and used that the price will never go up is basically what he's saying. It'll always be under control. There'll never be a price spike. So far, he's been right for 170 years. There was almost one in 1980. 2011 was J.P. Morgan doing that 100%, putting Bill Daley as Obama's chief of staff. That's why silver went up to $50, and that's why it got slammed down. Bart Chilton gave up the ghost on that as well. There is a lot of shitty reporting, and it is designed to confuse you. So this is the CPM Group, Jeff Christian's company that was spun off from Goldman Sachs. Nobody believes him except himself. He believes himself. And I truly think he does believe in what he says, which is really scary. But nobody else does, as far as I know. All right. I mean, yeah, the mainstream guys want to believe him. That's the problem. And I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Let's talk about the Silver Institute and their ridiculous silver survey. So this is the silver survey. For a year and a half, I've been talking to the Silver Institute and Metals Focus. Right down here, Metals Focus does this chart. And I said, how are you gonna spin this one? I talked to both the heads of them, Mike Dorenzo and Philip, I forget his name. I'm talking right here. Philip Newman. Talked to him both, face to face. And I'm like, okay, this is before they put their numbers out. I said, how are you going to spin this? Because we have a massive amount of silver going into solar panels, and the solar panel installation rate is up 76%. And it's mainly PERC modules with some TopCon, which have like 50% more silver. That's changed now. It's almost all TopCon. So last year, I'm like, so there was very little silver thrifting. I know you guys like to say thrifting. You know, it's 2 to 3%. Big deal. You've got a 76% jump. How are you going to do that? How are you going to report to the world? Because this, believe it or not, this insane graph is quoted by everybody in the media, is quoted by analysts, that's all they have. And I took this graph. This was the 2024 silver survey, and I put red boxes around the data that they had changed. They changed historical data. That's how they dealt with it. They changed historical data to make it try to fit into the reality of a 76% growth in solar panel. And this is what they came out as. Look, this is at roadtoroto.com. Look, every one of those red boxes, historical numbers were changed for the narrative. This is absolutely, it should be illegal. It is fraud. These numbers were changed. They are fraudulent, and they were changed for a purpose. And they should have a disclaimer. All these numbers have been changed to make it look like we're not using that much silver. So they came out with 64% growth in the amount of silver used in photovoltaics, when we know that the actual number, if they had not changed it, is only 38%. So they literally, this number right here, 118.1, right? 118.1, 2022. 118.1 is the photovoltaics for 2022, right? 2022, photovoltaics. 118.1, that's 22, right? Okay, let's look at where they changed the numbers. So we go to the Silver Institute. And they have all this on their website. It's free. Why is it free? Because the market riggers give them the money to run these surveys. You go to the survey library. So that's 2024. Let's look at 2023. 2023 is what we want. What is the true number for 2023? Go down to the graph. Remember, it's 118, 2023. 2022. Look at the true number. Photovoltaics is 140, right there, 140. So this is the year before, or last year's silver survey. The silver survey for 2023 said photovoltaics. This is the number that they, after the fact, this is the final number. 140 million ounces was used in 2022. Right here, photovoltaics. The next year they come out with a new chart, and it says for 2020, I know. For 2020, I used the same thing. So 140 for 2022, correct? 140 for 2022. 2022, photovoltaics, 118. So in 2023, they said it was 140. In 2024, they're saying it's 118. Why did they do that? Why did they change the number from just the year prior of historic numbers? They did it so that they could do this right here. This changed this from 38% is what they're reporting to 64%. Why? Because we know that photovoltaics went up 76%. So they can't report that the silver use was, as you notice, it's exactly half of the 76%. And then they had to change all the numbers in the whole thing to make it fit. And the guy at Metals Focus, Philip Newman, admitted to me they change numbers on occasion. And I said, well, how can you do that? You can't change historical numbers. Well, we have new information that comes in. Oh, my God. This is criminal, in my opinion. This is criminal. Why is it criminal? Why is it criminal, Bix? Because they're also said they take these numbers. So they take it and they say, oh, things are fine in the silver market. Don't even worry about it. And then who uses it? I'll get to this in a second. Who uses it? Well, let's go to the podcast that they gave right after they let it out. Now, this is Mike Dorenzo interviewing Philip Newman. Mike Dorenzo of the Silver Institute interviewing Philip Newman of Metals Focus. Listen to what they say.
And the whole point of having people in these locations is that they spend a lot of their time on the roads, gaining the trust of companies, be it refiners, fabricators, wholesalers, a whole range of different companies across these global supply chains. And with that trust that we gradually build up over a period of time, we can, hopefully uncover information that is not in the public domain. And that, hopefully allows us to produce, some of these data sets, and the best data sets for the Silver Institute go into your silver survey.
So there you go. Plausible deniability. It's our insider sources that we really know what's going on. Don't look at the numbers of solar panels that had to be registered at every government. No, we have inside information. And that was Philip Newman. And listen to what Mike Dorenzo says. This is the guy who runs the Silver Institute.
Very good. Well, we know that it is often quoted. It is heavily relied upon by silver market participants.
There's your answer. This is heavily relied upon, often quoted by silver market participants. The numbers are fake, but they carry on because they are the experts.
By the media, by analysts, and so forth, and of course the general public. It, in my opinion, is the best piece on the silver market, and we're happy to put this out with your assistance. And we will look into January of next year, and it'll still be being quoted and so forth.
There you have it. That's the whole thing. They lie, cheat, and steal so that and it's quoted all year everywhere. We'll look into January next year. They're still quoting this fake report put out by Metals Focus and published by the Silver Institute. Isn't it illegal to artificially change the investment parameters? The media, fake news. Talk about fake news. Fake news, fake news, fake news. That's all fake news. Every single one of those red squares has been changed. What does the overall do? Well, it changes the market shortage from 142 million ounces to 335 million ounces last year. And it's going to be worse this year. And they're going to change it again because they got to massage the numbers. It's embarrassing. And nobody should be looking at this Silver Institute report or anything the Silver Institute does. As a matter of fact, and I can see this ahead of time, the Silver Institute is going to tell you that as the price of silver rises, they say, oh, there's so much silver in solar panels that we can recycle. How do I know they're going to say that? Because they already started saying it. You go to the other publications, everything about it has, oh, we can recycle silver out of solar panels, no problem. We can make recycling silver from batteries. It's easier. We're just going to, use it for a while and then we'll pull everything out. The latest report is new method tested for recycling silver from used solar panels and other e-waste. This is supposed to be, the Silver Institute is supposed to be the advocate for the silver market. And all they do is talk about, great expenses in micro use of silver, or, recycling is going to change the world. We're going to have all this silver available. That is not true. Another lie. Here's why. This is China's installations beat expectations. That's where most of the solar is going right now. It's going into China. I don't care what anybody says. The vast majority is made in China and going into China. And you can see that from this graph right here, right? So let's just say that they invent a way sometime in the future to pull all the silver out of every solar panel and they can do it cheaply. What's that going to do and when's it going to do it? Why is the Silver Institute so excited about this? They're saying this is the next source of silver. Well, here's the problem. Solar panels are installed for 25, 35 years. They don't come out. That's their lifespan. And more. Some people would say it's just too expensive to pull them out. We're still getting electricity from them. So if you can't pull them out for 25 to 35 years, When is this big glut of silver coming to the market? Well, they started really putting it in 2013, 2014. But, I mean, that's tiny amounts. So you add, let's say, average 30 years, that's 2045, you're going to get a little bit. Now, this year and last year, yeah, you're going to get some serious silver. A couple 100 million ounces, according to them even. But that won't come out until the 2050s. You see why? It does not matter. It has no effect. Silver recycling improvements have no effect today on the amount of silver available. It's because 25 years ago, 30 years ago, let's just go 30 years ago, 1994. All right? Yeah. 1994, there was barely any solar panels going in, so there's nothing to recycle. You can have all the great improvements of solar recycling, but there's nothing to recycle, and there won't be for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. What are you going to do in the meantime as they're gobbling up all the silver, right? I know, it's crazy. Anyway, interesting. Zero Hedge very rarely talks about silver. And silver is the most important financial asset on the planet, even more important than cryptos. Without silver, you can't have cryptos. Bix, how can you say that? You won't have all the devices. You won't have, your cell phone won't work as well. Your computers won't work as well. Silver is so important to cryptos. Power, getting cheap power. Now, AI, I just read somewhere like in Georgia, the amount of power being used by the AI facilities there is too much for the grid to handle. Put more solar panels in there. You need more silver. The world needs more silver. Anyway, and it's amazing to me, like even the guys over at Zero Hedge, who actually years ago, panned the road to Ruta theory. Like, that's bullshit. We know better than everybody else. I'm like, dude, you didn't even read my research on it. They had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. Anyway, it talks about what a tiny market it is, who produces the most silver. Mexico, Poland, India. India's huge, but these are the biggest mines. But mainly Mexico, and then you have Chile, Mexico, another one. Mexico has produced so much, and they're shutting down their open pit mining. The latest president said, yeah, we're going to shut down open pit mining. Everything is looking like silver is going to break free. And I think it's going to break free very, very fast. Very, very fast. Listen to this. So, remember I talked about the Silver Institute? Oh, my God. Let's see how many times it's quoted. So for this graphic, visual capitalist Alan Kennedy used data from the Silver Institute's World Silver Survey, just the one I just told you is completely wrong, to rank the top silver producing companies. They're still relying on the Silver Institute. It's insane. Global silver production dropped 1% between 22 and 23, mainly driven by industry events that disrupted production, impacting several key silver-producing nations. No, it was mainly the problem. The reason we're not making more silver is because the price is too low. And it's been rigged artificially low, so you're going to get less and less silver. Silver in 2024. Despite the challenges, there is hope for a potential production recovery from Mexican and U.S. mines in 2024. However, the Silver Institute expects total output from mining companies to fall by less than 1% again in 2024, with forecasts predicting an output of approximately 284 million ounces. The Silver Institute is one dude, Mike DiRenzo, and Metals Focus is where he gets his data. That's all it is. So embarrassing. DiRenzo's a tool, too. Didn't like the guy from the very second I talked to him. But hey, that's me. All right, FYI, here's your alert to buy Theta. Theta's down to $1.14. Theta is completely run off the crypto prices. If you don't know what Theta is, here's your chance to get rich and load up. $1.14. If you don't know how to buy it, at Road to Ruta, we teach you how to buy, store, and stake it on the private road. Theta's going to change the world easy. Actually, right now I probably buy Theta fuels at like 21-to-1 ratio. That ratio probably get down to less than 10-to-1, as people need to buy Theta fuel to run their AI programs and all that stuff. And it's not just AI, mind you. What Theta does is it expands broadband because you're sharing your broadband with everybody around you. It saves on storage. You're sharing your hard drive with everybody around you. You save on processing power. You're sharing your hard drive, and you earn T fuel for doing that. Amazing innovation. We don't have to build 10,000, Wi-Fi towers everywhere and every block. Doesn't have to happen. Doesn't have to happen. And it is coming. The Edge node, as of September, the end of September, an Edge node can be run on every single Android phone on the planet, I think. I take that back. It's out to have a certain capacity to do it, but let's just say billions and billions. And it's a software download. I keep screaming to people. The Theta is a software download with a crypto component. And, oh, by the way, if you live in Japan, we're thrilled for Theta to be listed on Binance Japan next week. Following Theta's approval for trading in Japan by the Japanese Virtual Currency Exchange, we have been in discussions for some time to enter the Japanese market. This year, with the help of Binance Japan, we received approval for a Theta listing. So the Japanese will be able to get it much faster than the U.S. No, it is not on Coinbase. You can get it through there's a link. They have a link on Coinbase, but it's not on the Coinbase exchange, and you'll probably pay through the roof. But the more important thing is this second part from Theta. While the journey was long, in the end, it has paid off to enter the market in a strong position. We take this approach in other jurisdictions as well. They're talking about the U.S. now. And while the process can take time, it has served Theta well in avoiding missteps that have hurt other crypto projects. With regulatory sentiment toward crypto turning in a positive direction around the world, including in the U.S., we believe this strategy will pay off and we'll continue to see increased access for Theta and all tokens in the Theta ecosystem. Absolutely. They are going to surprise the world and say, oh, here it is. We're on Coinbase now. Then everybody on the planet will be trying to get Theta and Theta Fuel, and we just won't be able to do it. Because it is the best. It is by far the best crypto. And right now, it is probably the cheapest crypto. Having dropped massive amounts. Look at the chart overall. It went up to $15. Now it's back at $1. Everybody crying that they bought at $15. There was a couple people. I wasn't saying buy then. I'm just holding. I'm a hodler. I'm going to hold through 15 and went to 100. I would still hold it. Unless I needed it. I know the future of Theta is going to be massive. But if you bought at 15, buy the same amount and you'll cut your acquisition costs in half. Almost. Just about half. So yes, definitely Theta is going to get people very, very rich very, very soon, in my opinion. Everything's after the crash, by the way. I think all the markets will go to zero because the exchanges can't work if the banks aren't open, right? And these exchanges are the most criminal exchanges on the planet, including the stock market, the bond market, the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, all rigged. But cryptos, they have a little stronger rigging capacity. So if you do buy Theta, get it in your own possession. Get Theta Fuel in your own possession. You don't want to be like, I figured everything out and then have your assets held by somebody else when the crash happens. Because you won't get that back. If you have SLV or PSLV, you're not going to get it back. Talk to the people at Mt. Gox who are starting to get back their cryptos and, a tenth of what they were worth. I know. It's crazy. That's what I got for you. You want to join the private road? Yes, we do have a Theta page where we teach you how to buy, store, and stake it. And if you're not into cryptos at all, but want a little bit, for every private road subscription, it's a 1-year subscription to Roto-Rooter, we will send you a paper wallet loaded with 10 Theta, 100 Theta Fuel, and 1,000 T-Drop. Just take this piece of paper, stick it in your silver safe, and wait for all the shit to go down. That's what I got for you today. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.